Kvaratskhelia steadying himself! A star in the making. And there's the only goal! Sabiri with it! After 11 years, once again, Milan are the champions of Italy.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie A Sit Down, World Football Index's podcast for your Calcio to go. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How we doing?
Running like a chicken with my head cut off, man. I almost didn't get to do this tonight, like a scheduling snafu. My son's school basketball awards ceremony was today. Okay. Just an hour before we were to start, and the school's 5 minutes away from here, and he's in the fifth grade. So he has fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. So the fifth graders get to go first. So I'm trying to figure out how do I be a good dad, get my kid so he can go get his award and get recognized and people can applaud him, and then get him. And so I decided, you know what, we're gonna get out of here after he gets right after he gets his award. I'm going to be that parent that's like, all right, my kid got his award, we're leaving, and I don't care who gets mad at me for it. Like, well, you didn't have the respect to stay for the other groups. No, I didn't, because I had shit to do.
My kid's better than yours. I'm out of here. All right.
Yeah. So I only came here to see my kid get his award. So we all, come on, let's be honest with each other. We all only care about our own kid in here. So why would I want to stay and applaud everybody else? I'm kidding. But and actually it was kind of nice because there was another mom there that said she was just going to do the same thing simply because her son hadn't had dinner yet. So, and she's like, I'm not staying, so it's like, all right, good. I'm not alone. I'm not alone on this. So, no. I am enjoying a Guinness.
Good.
Because, it's left over from St. Patrick's Day and my birthday. And then also, that's all that I have left for beer. So, and it's either this or White Claw, which my wife drinks, and I have sworn that I'll never drink White Claw. So, even though a lot of people like it, have you drank White Claw before?
I have not. I am actually resorting to dihydrogen monoxide right now. So, there you go.
Hydrogen monoxide.
Dihydrogen monoxide. Water.
Dihydrogen
H2O.
monoxide.
Dihydrogen.
Yes, that's what water is. So
basically White Claw, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or most light beers. So
that's right. That's true.
Anyway, but it is what it is. Anthony's in the chat. Apex Crafter, long time no see. Our good friend there. Come here for a little.
Dominic was the first one in the chat. Look at him.
Was Dominic the first one in the chat this time?
He was.
Anthony, you're slipping. Although Anthony, I do want to take this. I want to take this opportunity to recognize Anthony. I think Anthony is the Serie A sit down super fan. We appreciate him very much. And Anthony, thank you so much. Anthony has been killing it with the Who Won Calcio Twitter nominees over the last few weeks, and I think he deserves some recognition because he's doing a really good job
finding some gems too.
Finding some stuff for us. So. Enjoying a well-cooked steak and a baked potato to end my night. I just hope it better not be a well-done steak, Anthony, or I'm going to have to take back everything I just said.
Might have to bring in Alex Dono if we're going to talk steaks and how we cook them.
How are you, Anthony? Just let us know in the chat how you're taking that steak. So hopefully you're a medium rare or a medium guy.
Hopefully better than Napoli took Milan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Milan is the one that pounded and tenderized them, didn't they?
Yeah.
So we're obviously going to lead with that. We will also batch the rest of the match week. In addition to that, match week 28, it was 10 matches left in the Serie A schedule. This season has flown by. Yeah. They always do. They always do when they give you this much. When they give you this much to talk about. So we'll batch the rest of that. We will lightly touch on Coppa Italia today, 1-1 between Inter and Juventus, mainly going to talk about that incident at the end of the game that has got Romelu Lukaku suspended for the return leg. And then we can give you a quick look at Cremonese and Fiorentina tomorrow, which will be really, really quick. Here's the deal: Fiorentina are going to win. I mean, as nice as this run has been for Cremonese, and has been a nice distraction from their league form, Fiorentina are just playing way too well.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit about how the Azzurri did, and maybe a little bit about Europe next week if we want to change our mind about how we think the first legs are going to go in each of those games. And then we'll finish with the world's most popular hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. But Richard, Napoli, Milan. It was we people thought maybe a battering was going to happen. I don't think they expected a battering to happen in this fashion. Let's break down the lineups here first. Spalletti with Merritt in goal, Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Kim, and Rui. Midfield of Anguissa, Lobotka, and Zielinski. Standard fare there, but Simeone starting with Kvaratskhelia and Politano on the flanks. No Victor Osimhen out through injury. Thoughts on this team?
This is a good team. I mean, say what you want. No, Simeone is a fantastic striker. He had almost 20 goals last season. He's a good player. He's not Osimhen, but this is still a good team. No Victor Osimhen. It was the whole mask gate before the game because he forgot his mask while he was with Nigeria. Then he ended up picking up an injury as well. He's got to order a new mask. This and that. All these things are happening before the game. Unfortunately for him, he picked up an injury with an international duty. And, some people would write it off as he just did it because he was his nationals team. And I saw a couple comments that kind of hit the nail on the head where Spalletti's maybe playing him a little too much right now. At the end of the season, you want to give him a little rest. In some of these games that are really blowing people out, he's staying in there to get goals. And is it worth it? We'll see. Hopefully it's not a big injury. He's back very quickly for Napoli. As overall a standard lineup, the midfield's solid as can be. And it was Simeone. Yes, it's a slight downward from what you have in Osimhen, but Simeone is a good striker, man. Let's be honest. So good lineup.
It's and Spalletti's been doing that. We've seen these starters go at least 70 minutes into the match most of the time before Spalletti even makes a substitution. He keeps them out there. Usually you see a lot of changes start at 60 with 5 substitutions. You're seeing guys hooked before going out there in the second half even. So to see Spalletti doing it this way is certainly different. And in most cases, the 3 points are already wrapped up by the time you get to that point. So you certainly have a point here, Richard, on the amount of playing time that Osimhen's been getting. And then that's the other question that you got to ask him is we're talking about a player that, as dynamic as he is and as many goals as he scores and as good as he has not played a full season. Yep. Okay. So he has not played a full season of 70 to 80 minute stretches every 3 days. There's usually an injury that keeps him out over a period of time. And then he comes back and then he sits a game in between here and there because they're trying to bring him back correctly, and things like that. So now he is tasked with a workload that he hasn't seen yet, at least in Serie A. There's something to that. But in the end, I expect him to come back and just get right back to the form that he's been playing in, because I think the combination of him and Kvaratskhelia has been just beyond lethal. Yes. So, but to your point, Cholito is not a bad replacement if you have a need for one. So, correct. But you can do things a little bit differently with Simeone that you can. I think Osimhen is the better hold-up player. We've got bots.
Nothing to do about it.
No. All right. Well, Michael's here. Good to see him. Right. So, I think that Osimhen is ahead of Simeone in hold-up play and in target play. I think Osimhen's the better box runner. And I think a lot of that is just the amount of repetition he's had with his wingers versus what Simeone's had. Yeah. And I do think, even with all of the chances that Napoli carved out in this game, I do think that Napoli missed Osimhen's presence in this game.
100%. 100%.
So, over to Milan, and Pioli goes back to a back four. Maignan obviously in goal. Calabria, Kerr, Tomori, Teo Hernandez, and then it was a Benacer Tonali double pivot with Rade Krunic in the 10. SofaScore would tell you it was Benacer in the 10, but I think it was Krunic that was normally a little bit further forward.
Correct.
Leo to the left, Brahim Diaz to the right, and Olivier Giroud up top. Overview, going back to the back four, benefited a certain player, didn't it?
It certainly did. And I think what we saw in this game, obviously the chatter would be, prior to the game is Malik Chow. Maybe he should have been there instead of maybe Chiara or Tomori based on different form and blah, blah, blah. But I think, the pairing that we saw, Tomori and Chiara, are the most familiar in the back four with each other. They showed it in this game, and Calabria also was benefited from this with the extra help back there. It also helped, Benacer and Tonali doing what they did there, and Teo Hernandez also did well also. So I think having that back four there, having Maignan with his ability with the feet, really, it's like 5 defenders back there, and it certainly made that. We haven't seen this kind of defense in a while for Milan, and a good time to bring it out. Now we had wondered if they're going to bring this back in the last couple of weeks, based on how they've been playing. Giving up a lot of goals, and sure enough, they brought it in, and it worked. It worked beautifully, I thought.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Very open game, in my opinion. Clearly more of the possession belonging to Napoli, but a combined 34 shots between the two teams. It's what Milan did with the 39% was certainly far more efficient than what Napoli did with their 61%. The opening goal was in the 17th minute, a goal of the week candidate for various reasons, starting with the brilliant move from Brahim Diaz on the right-hand side to get around the fence.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the pass. I mean, that had to be perfect. It was. And then Leao getting there and then dinking it over Mirat was one of the best goals of the season. There's certainly some goals all season that have bettered that probably. But in terms of Milan, I mean, how important we characterized or we talked about how important it was for Leao, but Brahim Diaz playing on the right hand side, having maybe a little bit more freedom and being able to go at it was Rui, I believe, on the left. Yeah. Being able to have a go at Rui, being able to have a go at the players on that side, making life a little bit difficult instead of having him down the middle where he would run into Lobotka and run into some problems. I thought this was a very shrewd move by Pioli, and it paid off 17 minutes into the match with this goal.
Yeah, it was really well taken. I think Krunic playing the Kessie role as we saw against Inter last year, playing the attacking 10 there, and Brahim Diaz is a man possessing this game, and I think he was just fabulous offensively and defensively for the team, and then Leao reading that play perfectly and doing his thing and get in there and getting that goal. It was well done all the way around on this goal. Just is beautifully set up, and you got to give kudos to Brahim Diaz the way he started out, at least especially on that play there where he kind of just shake and bake past two guys and then fed Leao for that wonderful goal.
Mm-hmm. They'd score again in the 25th minute. This time, Brahim Diaz with a finish. It took a little bit of a deflection, but went in. So he gets his goal to validate his performance and his effect on the game. First half possession was actually a little bit closer. Milan again with the 4 attempts on target. I think they had a couple. There was one other chance in there that I'm trying to remember that Merritt was called on. That this could have been 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember exactly who it came from, but nonetheless, excellent first half from Milan. And really, when you look at Napoli statistically, I mean, yeah, they got a couple of chances on target, but Maignan was called out. He was forced to make a couple of saves here. And I think we'll talk about Maignan too, because we'll have to talk about him in the performance in the second half as well, Richard, because I think that, for all Brahim did, all Leao did, you still needed Maignan. He had to make some saves to help preserve the lead and help hold on. So just talk about that a little bit. Talk about Magnan's performance, and then just the first half from Milan, the first half from Napoli.
Yeah, Magnan certainly had it wasn't like Milan were so stout defensive like they were against Tottenham, where they didn't allow anything. Napoli had their chances. Obviously, Zielinski at the end of the first half could have scored there, and there's a couple other chances that Magnan came up big in the first half. And yeah, he's someone who is pivotal for this Milan team to be successful, because we saw under Tatarusanu that Milan were unsure back there. Magnan not only is a great he has great hand-eye reflections. He also is so good with his feet. He's able to play the ball. He's like another defender out there. He used to be an attacker, outfield player, and so he's another player Milan can rely on when there is pressure. Kind of gets him out of that jam. You didn't have that with Tatarusanu. Same thing with the point blank saves. And the reaction time by Magnan is so huge. And I think overall in the first half, I think this was just a brilliant way that Milan came out and really attacked Napoli with the pressure, really putting the onus on the big three in the middle. Those guys have been so dominant this season, and you saw that Bennacer, Tonali, and Krunic really were trying to be physical with them. Anytime they got the ball, just got on them real quickly, double teamed them at times, and it kind of really caused some turnovers there. Interesting question from Dominic in the chat asking, how much do you think a silent Stadio Maradona affected the ref and Napoli? I don't know. I'm sure it had to play a part. The crowd is amazing there at the Maradona. But I think this, based on tactics alone in this game, it would have certainly helped Napoli. But I think Milan came out to play a certain way, and they played. And this game meant a lot more to Milan than it did for Napoli, right? Napoli is almost a game. It's a throwaway game for them because they got two big games on the horizon against Milan. Milan needed these 3 points, and they came out and they looked like they wanted 3 points. Versus Napoli were like, hey. Well, if we get the win, great. If we don't, it is what it is. We can throw it away. And I think Spalletti even said so. But first half performance, I thought it was fantastic. Diaz is one of the best players in the first half, I thought, for both teams. Leao as well, all over the place. And I think quietly, Tomori and Krunic were fantastic. Just the work that they did defensively and offensively to really kind of cause chaos that allowed the freedom to get past Napoli in certain situations. It should be noted more, should be talked about more than what it is right now.
I agree with all of that. I thought Krunic was very good. I think Sandro Tonali was in particular a beast. I mean, the tackle that he won on the way to the ball that he played through for Leao for the third goal. It's a pretty underrated element of Sandro Tonali's game. We look at his passing, we look at his range, his ability to be able to find long passes, short passes, dictate things from the midfield. But, the defensive part with him and the positioning is something that certainly improved. And I think that that tackle to win the ball and spring Leao on the break is indicative of that.
Someone said it, and I don't remember who it was, so I apologize. But someone on Twitter had said that, Milan do poorly against teams with the low block. Napoli do very well against that. Milan do very well against teams that are very good attacking, and this is a very good attacking Napoli team, and so Milan, their best performances this season have been against good attacking teams, and so you saw as a team that Milan could handle the pressure in this game. I'm not saying this is going to be indicative of anything of what we're going to see in the Champions League, but I thought in this game, Pioli got it spot on. The team played, really well and showed in that first half, through the entire game, really, and that midfield, the way they're going to win this game is canceling out that midfield for Napoli, which is just one of the best in the league. And they did that. And you saw that on Tonali manhandling Zielinski at one point. You saw Lobotka getting, beat by Diaz, and Krunic was everywhere, and Bennacer was fantastic. So that's the main job they had to do in that game, is take out that midfield to kind of get a chance to beat Napoli. And they sure as heck did that in the first half.
I don't think I've seen Lobotka play this flustered all season.
No,
I think that's one thing you can take a look at if we want to look at it from the Napoli point of view. Anthony alludes to Kvaratskhelia chances. Yeah, his shooting. Yeah, he got 3 shots in the game and he didn't get anything on target, but he created 4 chances, crossed. I mean, in terms of the peripheral statistics, Kvaratskhelia still got his and still was out there and still was a presence. It was empty this time.
Did you notice the tactic though? So Milan, with Kvara, they would like double team him at times, and they would put a lot of pressure on everyone but Lobotka. They were like, Lobotka, you beat us. They stopped the high high chance scorers like Politano and Cavara and Cholito. Cholito nearly got a couple early in the game as well. Tomori was struggling with him, but for the most part, they said, let's guard everybody tight and let's isolate with Lobotka and see if he can beat us. And he couldn't. And it showed where a couple shots he had was high and wide, and they weren't that great. And he did look flustered, to your point. This is one of the, out of all the games we've seen him, Champions League and Serie A, this is the one game that we saw that he's flustered. And so, hey, he gets a pass because he's such a great player.
Oh, Lobotka's been excellent this season.
He's one of the best players of the season so far, but he did look flustered in this game, absolutely.
Yeah. Just trying to further break down Napoli here. It certainly was. Min Jae Kim has had much better days. Some of these guys that have just been so special all season, just had a bad night. Really that's the best way. And then, but we, as we talk about Napoli, we should talk about, the fourth goal. As I'm kind of jumping back and forth here a little bit, but man, Alexis Salamakers, when did he think he was Leo Messi all of a sudden? I mean, now another goal of the week candidate. I mean, these were 1 and 2 for me, and I'm having a hard time figuring out which one was the goal of the week and which one was second. But dribbles through, gets through everybody, puts it past Matt at 4-0 game set match.
I don't know what was in the socks, or what did Salsicha Donna eat before the game, but man, he was inspired. I was joking that maybe, his best games this season had been Champions League, and I was joking that somebody told me this was a Champions League game, and hence why he was playing really well. As soon as he came on, he was inspired. He always does the yeoman's work defensively. He's such a high work rate player. But offensively, he was he was making runs, going past guys, doing his little Ronaldinho fake with the foot, and it was working. A couple plays, he went through like 3 guys at one time, just doing feints left and right. He looked inspired, and that goal wasn't even as good as there was another shot he had maybe 5-10 minutes later. Had he scored that would have been goal of the week, because he broke like 3 guys' ankles and then got a shot off, and Meret made a fantastic save. But yeah, so Salamakers played really well in this game. Let's not forget about what he didn't do the rest of the season, but in this game he came up huge. No doubt about it.
Yeah. The game pretty much played out from there. 4-0 was the final. Raspadori got to make a cameo for Simeone. Lozano came on for Politano. Ndombele for Zielinski. Elmas came on for Lobotka. And then Origi got to come on for Leal Rebic. CDK, Bakayoko got to make an appearance. So
almost gave away a goal within like 5 seconds.
Well, yeah, but it's going well for you that 7 minutes left in the game, you can afford to put Bakayoko on.
Yeah. Either you're losing bad or you're winning big. So
yeah, I know the feeling. I was that player when you're winning by that much.
Yeah,
the coach,
yeah.
You're winning that late in the game. That's when it's safe to put me in the game.
Get in there.
Get in there. So, but anyway, I want to come back to a comment in the chat. And it was from our friend LKLDL707.
Okay.
Let's see. Where did he say it? If you all watched the game, Milan played its best hand. Napoli played none at all. This game meant nothing for Napoli, and this losing could mean winning the Champions League round. Well, Milan is uncovered. Okay. So here, I'm going to compare this kind of to an NBA game that just happened on Thursday night. Happened to be my Milwaukee Bucks, and I almost went to the game, and I'm glad I didn't. When the Boston Celtics beat them 140-99. Now in the NBA, the Bucks are in first, the Celtics are in second, and the Bucks just came off they have a cushion over the Celtics. There's not too many games left in the season for home court advantage. Okay. The Bucks are on the second of a back-to-back. They lost the night before to Indiana or somebody, and the starters played a lot of minutes. And then Boston comes in on Thursday, shoots the lights out. Bucks can't keep up. Giannis, I think, was done like by the middle of the third quarter. The coach just said, "Fuck it, I'm not keeping you out here. We're crushed." So, right. And I believe it was Reggie Miller who was doing the commentary of that game, and he said, "This is Boston saying making a statement saying, we can come in here and we can beat you. And we've got that belief. Okay. So if Milan, so our friend here in the chat has a point, right? Sorry, Michael. It is Holy Week. Our friend in the chat does have a point. Napoli doesn't need this game. And I've listened to Napoli fans, smart to the, oh my God, why are you in my feed? I thought I blocked you. So,
right.
All saying the same thing. Napoli really didn't need this game. Okay. Yeah. And Milan needed it more than Napoli. But regardless, when you're talking about these Champions League games coming up, this game gives Milan a lot. It doesn't make Milan the favorite in the quarterfinal. Okay. Correct. But it does give Milan belief. We can go to the Maradona and get a result. If we don't get the result we want at the San Siro, we've got the ability to go to the Maradona and reverse it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's where Milan needed this. Okay. They needed the belief.
In the standings they needed the points too.
And for the top four, exactly. So there's no doubt Milan needed this game more than Napoli. Okay, but it's also to create the belief. It's not going to carve any doubt in Napoli over the course of the two legs. No. Okay, but it is going to create the belief for Milan that that they can do it. Now, I'm not saying that Milan are suddenly the favorites to win this quarterfinal tie. And I expect things to be totally different over the cup games, mainly because of the man we talked about at the very beginning of this, Victor Osimhen. He will be there, and the dynamic completely changes with what Napoli are capable of doing.
Absolutely.
So yes, Napoli, you didn't need the game, okay? But I will say this. If this was a narrow win where Milan narrowly escaped, I think that the argument can be made that Milan doesn't have the belief that they have now.
Sure.
Heading into that quarterfinal tie. Okay?
Sure.
4-0 is a beating, regardless of who you put out there. Okay? Yeah. And I'm in the same thing with the Celtics and the Bucks. Okay? That game might not have meant anything to the Bucks, and it might have meant more to the Boston Celtics, but the Celtics did it, and they know they can go there and do it again. Yeah. Okay? So that's where that comes from, okay? While Napoli didn't have to show their hand and all of this other stuff, and you can make those comments, Milan, but they're going to need to show it over the course of the quarterfinal, all right? And while this game meant more to Milan went out and won 4-0 at Napoli, all right? Yeah. And that there will be a little bit of weight on that. Okay. I don't think it changes the favorites. I don't know if the line suddenly moved on the money line or any of that other stuff, but you kind of get where I'm getting at. I'm kind of making word salad here. On a day where Salamakers scored a special goal, right?
Yeah. So yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. But let me play devil's advocate because I just love doing that. I think this win could do more harm for Milan than good. And I'll say this why. I don't think this affects how Napoli, like you said, I don't think this is going to affect how Napoli look at the Champions League game or the rest of the season. I think they're going to still do what they do because they are that good. I think maybe this could be a negative on Milan. One, because it gives them too much hope, too cocky. They say, we can go to the Maradona and win 4-0. Are you kidding me? We're going to walk through them. Let's go to the first game. We're going to win that game, and then they're going to have their guard down. Oh, by the way, Victor Osimhen comes back, and then Napoli's put on this beating on you, and then maybe they win the first leg 4-0 in the Champions League. That's very possible. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it could. It could. You like Boston against the Bucks. You get too confident from a victory, a false belief that you are all of a sudden this magnanimous team, this fantastic team. You don't play your game the way you should be playing, the way you did at that game that you won, and then you get caught, with a sucker sponge. And Napoli's not the team you want to do that against because they are superior. They're such a fantastic team. They're the best team in the league by far, and they're one of the best teams in Europe. And so I think this is great belief for Milan. They just have to be, Pioli and company have to be wary. Yes, use this as belief, but don't be stupid and think that you have any advantage in this leg coming up, because you don't. And so you know what you can do to beat them. You know how you can score against them, and use that. But I think Napoli is going to be unaffected by this result. And this is going to make them more hungry to try to prove a point in the Champions League. And it's going to be a tight affair, both legs. I guarantee it. I don't think we're going to see a 4-0 scoreline either way. But it's going to be fun over 2 legs. And there's going to be a Serie A team in the semifinals. So that's at least a bonus there.
Per bet365.com for the game next Wednesday. The money line is Napoli plus 160, Milan plus 170, with a draw at plus 230.
Is that because of the result?
I think the result might have shifted that. I want to say that we probably, and I didn't see it before that. I didn't see that before where it is now. But and our friend Lisi looks into this kind of stuff from time to time too. I want to guess that this opened up with Napoli plus 115 and Milan plus 190 plus 205, kind of in that range. And now, because of this 4-0 win on Sunday, that narrowed. The money moved toward Milan a little bit, at least for the first leg. I'm not talking about over who qualifies. I was looking for that and couldn't find it. But as it pertains to the first leg, Napoli plus 160, Milan plus 170, draw 230. Both teams to score as a slight favorite at yes for minus 125, no at minus 106.
Yeah.
So
I will say this for Pioli.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Don't catch up. I do find it to qualify. Napoli is still a minus 188 favorite to qualify on the money line. Yeah. Milan's at plus 137.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that sounds right.
I do want to give Pioli credit, because I think playing Krunic in the Kessie role that we saw against Inter last year worked. We'll see if Napoli has an answer for that. And I think playing Tomori was the right answer, because his pace. Not only did it come benefit in this game because he stopped a couple plays where Malik Chow or Chiara couldn't get with the pace, and if when Victor Osimhen comes back, they'll need that pace. But it's a tall ask to beat Napoli. Napoli's a good team, but Pioli got it right. It was a masterclass by him in this game. So.
And how about his resilience? It seems like every time the Pioli out idiots get loud in social media, he silences them. He shuts them the hell up.
He reinvents himself. Who said that in the chat? Someone said it in the chat. He keeps reinventing himself, as Derek says. Yeah, he does. And he's done this over and over again. And I saw this a couple weeks ago when Milan was really in their funk, and they said, see, this is the best he's got. Last year was a fluke, and I'm like, really? Like, he reinvents himself with Milan. He just found new ways to get better and better, and teams find him out, and as a good manager does, finds ways to get better. And he realized he made a mistake with the 4-3-3. It was working at the time, but then it started not working, and went back to the 4-2-3-1 and made the subtle changes of adding Tomori back with Chiara and then putting in Krunic, and it worked fantastically. So, he deserves a lot of credit. Someone said he's a mid-table manager at best or something like that, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's brilliant. He's not Allegri, right? But he's a really good manager. Yeah. So give him credit.
Yeah, he found the right solutions. Mark's saying Napoli plus 140 to plus 145 before Sunday. So I'm wondering what the to qualify was at. I wonder if it was maybe in the minus. Milan was plus 190. Okay, so yeah, that kind of makes sense. So it has it, but so I'm right in that the money has moved toward Milan. For at least for the first leg, but to qualify, I'm curious to see if the money's to move toward Milan as well. If it's Napoli at minus 188 and Milan at plus 137 to qualify, I'm guessing prior to Sunday that Napoli was maybe minus 200, minus 205, and that Milan was probably in the plus 160 range. Strepa, I don't know if you've got a chance to look that up, but that would be nice to know.
I think those saying that's going to be a close 2 legs is the right call. I think both, Napoli are the better team, but this is very close. This season, Milan's played Napoli the best out of anybody in Serie A. They had a narrow loss to Napoli in the first go around the season, where Napoli won, and then this game obviously Milan won. Obviously Inter and Lazio have wins as well, but it's just Milan plays well against good teams and not so well against poor teams. So You know, they get up for these big games, and they have that DNA that does mean something in Champions League.
But then, and what is it? I mean, further about Pioli, when you look at him compared to some of the other managers in this league, Pioli adjusts, and he's willing to. He's not afraid to change formation. He's not afraid to, make the changes, and that's what we've learned from him. I mean, when things were going so bad with Tatrasanu in goal for the second time, we speculated like a 4-3-2-1 where you play 3 center midfielders to give that back four more protection. He just went with 3 in the back, and
fuck you, I'm putting 3.
And that's fine.
Sorry, Michael.
That's fine. We wanted to change, so we wanted to change. I'm rubbing off on you in a not a good way.
Yeah.
So he went 3-4-2-1, and that's fine. But now he's realizing that it's crowding Leao and his ability to have an impact on a game, and he took the gamble. He took the risk of going back to playing the back four so that he could highlight his best player, and it worked.
And he came back with a vengeance with his performance. I thought Leao was fantastic for sure.
And when he comes out of this, and even with Napoli not needing the game, and another reason why this game is important for Milan is that Pioli now has flexibility. Yep. He can go to 4 in the back. He can go to 3 in the back. He can mix this up based on what the opponent and the conditions of the game is going to demand of Milan to be successful. Inzaghi doesn't do that. He plays 3-5-2. Okay. No. Gasperini doesn't do that. He plays 3-5-2 or a variation of it. We've seen Allegri switch from back 4 to back 3 and fluctuate, but tactically the setup is the same. Italiano stays in 4-3-3 largely.
Yep.
Mourinho is willing to adjust between a 3-man defense, 4-man defense, but he's played a 3-man defense just about the whole season. Mm-hmm. Sarri's favorite formation is 4-3-3, hardly deviates from it. Being willing to show that flexibility and throw something different at the opponent might come in handy when you're trying to talk about separating yourselves from the rest of the pack for top 4.
Yep. Two things two last things from the game. Leao, eerily similar numbers to his MVP season. Just people hating on Leao this year. He's got numbers this year that almost reflect last year's numbers. Just saying. And then 2, let's chat about the Curva Nord, or the Curva for Curva B, or whatever it is for Napoli. With the silence ahead of the game, protesting the pricing. Thoughts on it, and also the Curva fighting each other, different ultra groups fighting each other during the game as well, which is wild seeing there. You rarely see two ultras from the same team fight each other, but it happened.
So what was all of this about? I mean, it was just...
So I think they're right. So they're protesting the stupid prices for Champions League and stuff for Napoli. So if you look at the 3 teams that are left, Milan, Inter, and Napoli. I think the cheapest, I forget who put the tweet out, so I apologize, and I'll find it, I'll retweet it. But the cheapest tickets for each of the games, like for Inter in Milan, the tickets were like something like 65, 70 euros, and then Napoli was 90 euros. And, Inter and Milan are in Champions League more often. Well, I shouldn't say Milan, but they're in Champions League more often, and you would expect those prices, especially with the aura that the San Siro brings, those prices would be higher, and they're not. And it's the Maradona's prices that are so high, and so they're protesting that. And so I understand it to an extent about why they were doing that. I don't understand why they're fighting each other. I think there was a conflict of how they wanted to handle the protests. I know the Far From Vesuvius gang, they did a fantastic podcast on it. And I just started listening to it. So go to that source. They could tell you that, Henry Bell and the gang, they all do a fantastic job there, and they really broke this down. But it's just so weird to me seeing 2 ultras from the same team fighting each other, which is it's weird.
Yeah. You normally don't see that a lot. The $90 thing with it just feels like a really sick cash grab.
It's like the United States with all their sports,
Yeah, I think it's trying to seize upon the concept that, 1, they have an excellent product on the pitch. 2, they're in a position that they've never been in before.
Yeah.
And they're trying to financially gain from it as much as they possibly can. Was the price hike UCL, the city, or ADL's decision? I I don't think the UCL decides these ticket prices.
No, I don't think so. Because otherwise, all the prices would be the same, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the Napoli guys are going to know this more than we are.
Yeah, LDL in the chat might know too.
Canciofreri not only placing lots of regulations as well. They're not allowed to have flags.
Yeah, that was that too. That's right. I remember that
okay.
too. Yeah,
they don't. Okay. Without really doing the investigation and doing my research and just taking the most educated guess possible, I want to say it's a combination of the city and ADL.
Yep.
With the city having, because the city has the ownership of the Maradona. So
if you want to know more, follow the Far From Receivers gang and the Napoli.
Yes,
Napoli
the Ref and Referent. Those guys have the answers.
Absolutely.
Trust me. Yeah. But if I'm to speculate, I think it's a shared decision between the city and De Laurentiis. But I might be way off. So our friend LK LDL 707 might be.
Sure, he knows more than us, though.
Yep. Yeah, you're not getting in there for under 100, and some of the way seats are over 1,000.
Did I tell you what the MLS All-Star Game versus Arsenal tickets are going for?
What are they going for?
Cheapest right now is $400, I think, $477.
That's not worth it.
No. You can see Arsenal or Chelsea for under 100 euros at London versus, why would I pay? Like, that's stupid prices, man. Anyway.
Well, I mean, and I think that's just, taking advantage of the fact that they're never over here to play.
Yes.
So, I'm just curious to see if there's a Lambeau game up in, because I missed it. I didn't go to it this past year.
You won't be able to afford it.
What's that?
You won't be able to afford it.
We'll see.
They're stupid.
And last year it was City and Bayern. So,
yeah.
But we'll see. Yeah, no problem, Dominic. Yeah, definitely check. They're great guys. We endorse them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We have. It seems like every time Milan's at the focal point, we go way longer on them as a spotlight game.
Whoops.
I wonder why.
Whoops.
we gotta be better at that. Like, didn't we have the last main game was I can't remember who it was, but we were easily 10 minutes shorter than this. So,
Whoops.
But anyway, we probably should let the people know that there were 9 other games and 18 other teams that played, not just Milan and Napoli. So take it away.
Yeah, game started off Cremonese against Atalanta. Goal scoring would start for Martin de Roon. Nice little placement shot in the low corner, made a 1 for Atalanta. Ciofani would get an equalizer on a penalty in the 56th, but that was all Cremonese would get. Goal of the week candidate, Højlund, beautiful run, making a nice pass to Boga on the back door, 72nd minute with a goal there. Adama Lukman got made it 3-1 in stoppage time. 3-1 Atalanta went on the road. Inter hosting Fiorentina, and I remember a lot of Interisti cheering and laughing at Milan losing to Fiorentina. Oh, look, it's Bonaventura, former Milan player, with the goal in the 53rd minute. Fiorentina beat Inter 1-0. I heard nothing after that result. Juve hosting Hellas Verona. Moise Kean, wonderful goal, wonderful play, really, that whole setup there. In the 55th minute goal, that was the only goal they would need. Allegri and company would shut out Hellas 1-0 there. Moving on to Sunday, Bologna hosting Udinese. Bologna, look at Bologna. All of a sudden, they're starting to play under Thiago Motta.
What a job Thiago Motta's done. I don't blame Inter fans for salivating over trying to bring him to the San Siro.
Outside of Spalletti, Thiago Motta has strong consideration for manager of the year nominee. It's going to be Spalletti, but what he's done over there at Bologna has been fantastic since he's been there. Posh, I'm going to say his goal of the week for me. Wonderful goal from Steph Curry range. I mean, ridiculous shot, ridiculous power in the 3rd minute. 1-0 Bologna there. Moro. This
guy's got more goals than some of the strikers in this league this year.
Posh is a leading goal scorer from a defender in Europe.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, and he came over from Bundesliga. What was he? Hoffenheim, right?
Yeah.
Talented kid. I've always, in the short time that we had only Bundesliga to watch because of the pandemic, he's a guy that caught my attention in some of the games that I watched. So
he won't be there for long.
Yeah, he's working at it, and I'll tell you what, and he's part of Rangnick's plan to at Austria.
Another player you got to keep an eye on is Moro. Moro with his first goal in the 12th minute. And then he gets an assist. A nice play by him again. Moro again, but Barro ends up putting it away in the 49th minute. 3-0. Bologna just completely beat Udinese in this one. Moving over to Monza, hosting Lazio. This was all Lazio really in this game. Honestly, it was a nice goal by Pedro in the 13th minute. And then Milinkovic-Savic, goal of the week candidate with his free kick in the 56th. Lazio win 2-0 and cement their place in second at the moment. Spezia hosting Salernitana. Matteo Caldara with an own goal in the 43rd minute. 1-0. Salernitana went leading at halftime. But a goal of the week candidate, similar to Leao's goal, Eldor Shomurodov in the 70th minute equalizes 1-1. Both teams share the points there. Roma hosting Sampdoria in a game marred by racist chants that Mourinho chimed his Neo from Matrix was stopping the crowd chanting against the manager for Sampdoria. Roma win 3-0. Goals from Wijnaldum in the 57th minute. Good to see him scoring again. This time the game-winning goal. Dybala gets a penalty in the 88th, and then in stoppage time, El Shaarawy. All the goals happened after the red card by Murillo in the 52nd minute. Really stupid by him. But good teams take advantage of their advantage, right? And Roma certainly did in this game. But again, the game marred by Stankovic getting racially abused and Mourinho stepping in and shutting the Curva up, which was fantastic to see for his former player. But again, horrible scenes again in Italy. So good for Mourinho. He's obviously, he should get the kudos of the week for doing that. And then some of the games on Monday. Yesterday, I don't even know day of the week it is. Yesterday. Empoli hosting Lecce. Caputo in the 62nd minute made it 1-0. That would be all the goals in the game. Tonelli would get a red card in consolation for Empoli, but Empoli won 1-0.
In consolation for Empoli.
yeah. And then Sassuolo hosting Torino.
Did he get a red? I'm sorry. I just was looking to see. He was he on the bench?
I think so. Yeah, I think for running his mouth or whatever. And then the game, I think we both were hoping to see a lot of goals. Sassuolo Torino was really it's a good close game. Pinamonti, nice backdoor goal in the 36th minute, and then the Paraguayan Sanabria in the 66th would equalize it 1-1. They would share the points there. Where do you want to go?
Another clean sheet for Lazio.
Yeah.
You can start there. And against the Monza team that has been. They've been playing well. They're starting to peter out a little bit here. They haven't had a win, in a few weeks here. So they've done it again, and certainly deserve the being in second position. At the moment, if Juve win their appeal and get their 15 points back, that changes. But
Lazio still have the best defense in the league, though.
But they do. I mean, they had the second best defense in the league going in, but now they have the best defense in the league, thanks to the 4 that Napoli conceded. So, so that catches your attention. Inter, it's just what's going on over there? I mean, on the one end, you want to give them a pass. But they're rescued today by the penalty in the end. With Lukaku. Otherwise, they would be taking a 1-0 deficit back to the San Siro for the second leg of the Copa. But, 4 defeats in 5. And, they're not scoring. That's the scary part with them. And you got Benfica coming up, who you better figure out how to score goals against. Mm-hmm. I think they got 2 goals against Lecce. In the last 5 weeks, they've scored 3 goals in Serie A in the last 5 match weeks. 2 against Lecce, and then 1 against Spezia. The struggle is real with this team, and with the way Roma are able to find ways to win, Atalanta, and you can't rule out Juve. Inter could drop to 6th. Unreal. It's scary to see what's going on. You're talking about Inter fans are saying it's time for Inzaghi to go. Antonio Conte is now without a job. Thiago Motta's doing the things that he's doing at Bologna. There's options should they want to move on.
You want Thomas Tuchel, who's at Bayern?
Is at Bayern. Yep. You got the whole ownership situation going on too with them. With Sunning, Inter right now, this is not how you want to go into a quarterfinal tie with Benfica. I mean, I think Benfica is knocking Inter out at this point.
Based on current form, it looks like it.
Yeah, I don't see this going well for Inter unless Inzaghi just all of a sudden unlocks his Champions League magic, that he seems to be able to have. I mean, to get Lazio to the knockout rounds a few years ago, and then to get Inter through a group that had Bayern and Barcelona in it, and to be able to survive against Porto to get to this stage. You can't count that out, but man, I'm not encouraged by what we've seen with them over the last few weeks. So,
and Anthony even asked, is what do you guys think about in regards to Lukaku? Do you think he's no longer a top striker? I mean, yeah, we've been saying that for a while. Since, when he was with Inter a couple years ago, yes, he was a top striker. And when he went to Chelsea, he put on some weight. You could see he was not the same striker he was before. Yes, he probably wasn't getting the service he wanted or used to. But when he went to Chelsea, it's kind of when he stopped being a top striker and coming back to Inter. We said it. He's not the same player. He doesn't have the same pace. Maybe he has the same strength because he's a little bit bigger, but he's not the same striker. He's missing those opportunities he put away with Inter the first go around. He's not doing it this time. He's still effective. Is he a top striker? I don't think so. It's closer with him and Dzeko than it was back then, and Dzeko was pretty good back then as well. So yeah, he's not a top striker for them. And Lautaro, when he's on, he's fantastic, but when he's off, he hurts the rest of the team as well. So it's part of the struggle for Inter. The struggle is real, and it's just the current form is worrisome. I do think they have the talent and the tactics to beat Benfica. It has to be a similar model to what we saw against Porto, but you can't. It's hard to like the form at the moment, like you said. It's if you were betting man, you wouldn't bet against Inter or bet on Inter because of the form that they're in. So it's I don't know, man.
It's crazy. They're going to have to figure some things out quick, or maybe it's the fact that Inter has just been figured out. But it's not looking good.
Did you hear the words from Parolo about Inzaghi?
No.
So he was comparing Inzaghi and Allegri, and he was talking about how Allegri, he holds himself above the players. He is a manager. He makes the decisions. He controls the team, and Inzaghi makes himself as one of the players, and really relies on the other players on the team to kind of help him get the job done. To explain tactics and all that stuff. And he says, like Parolo was saying, like when an Allegri team when something goes wrong on the team and on the pitch, Allegri is the one who's directing them and getting them out of that funk. When something goes wrong with Inter, the whole team crumbles because they don't have that same. Inzaghi doesn't hold the same weight that Allegri does in terms of him over the players. It's him with the players, and so all the players started playing individually and blah 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 blah. And I thought it was an interesting take because Parolo obviously was under Inzaghi. I had to hear those words about both Allegri and in particular Inzaghi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How to react to that? Was Inzaghi ceiling whatever he was going to do at Lazio?
I thought so. I think he's a fantastic manager, but
yeah,
I thought what he was doing at Lazio was going to be the best he can do. Obviously, you're given a Scudetto-worthy team. Granted, you had to sell some players and stuff like that. Conte, they win the year before, they come back, and then you're thinking they're going to win again, and obviously Milan win it. And then this year they're struggling even more. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't help what Sony is doing to them because there's no money. They're selling all the best players. They're not bringing them in players, and so I know it's difficult. It's difficult, but you have to use with what you got and figure it out. And at the moment, they're in a little bit of a funk, and they're not figuring it out. And they have to shake this off if they have any chance to stay in the top four and beat Benfica and go further in the Champions League.
And just to follow up a little bit on the Lukaku talk with some of the comments in here, I think Lukaku is the product of what happens when you're playing too many games, when you're relied on way too often, and all of the injuries. You know, I mean, he's had Ronaldo has been able to play injury, but why has Cristiano Ronaldo been able to play injury free? Because he takes immaculate care of himself. Okay.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi takes immaculate care of himself. And I'm not saying that Romelu Lukaku doesn't take immaculate care of himself, but here's the difference with Romelu. Okay. But here's another difference with Romelu Lukaku. Romelu Lukaku plays a style of striker or forward that absorbs a lot of punishment.
Yes.
You know, he plays with his back to the goal far more than Lionel Messi does, far more than Cristiano Ronaldo does. Yep. And that was kind of what I played when I didn't have Lukaku's pace. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not blessed with pace, but I can tell you as a target forward, when you're often playing with your back to the goal with a defender, you are getting the shit kicked out of you. Okay. And stuff you're not seeing on the camera and little nuanced things that defenders are doing to you to throw you off. Okay. And some of that stuff piles up.
Sure.
Okay. And your body just absorbs it and absorbs it and absorbs it to the point where it just can't absorb it at a high level anymore. And you can't play at a high level anymore. And I think that that's what's going on with Lukaku.
Yeah. No, I agree with that comment there. It's he's a shade of what he used to be, and I don't see him regaining that form that he had once with Inter. So yeah, Inter are gonna have to figure out a way to do it some other way, and it's not
an Apex. I don't think if Antonio Conte came back to Inter, I don't think that Lukaku suddenly becomes what he used to be. I think that, you know, there's more tread on his tires at his age than there is on Ronaldo's and Messi's. Yep. And some of these guys that are playing into their 30s. Okay. You know, what he's asked to do as a striker is far different. And like I said, you absorb a lot more punishment than you do as Ronaldo, where you have space and can go at people. Messi, you have space, you can go at people. You have a defender on your back for a very large chunk of the game. And that defender is doing a lot of dirty tricks that you probably don't see on camera, you know, that'll try to throw you off. So,
question on Udinese. Dominic says, did Udinese evaporate because of Deulofeu or why? At one point, they were the team in black and white that people were most scared of, and treading near the European spots, and now they're just dropping, and they're down to 11th at the moment. But you know, Sassuolo is going to really take over them, who were in the relegation fight for a bit too. So what's going on with Udinese?
Well, let's look. I mean, it's not that, I don't think it's that they've slipped. I just think that teams like Fiorentina and Bologna have just gone on these torrid runs that they've just passed them up. Okay. Let's see here. So they had 4.
They beat Milan recently, right? So
yeah, they beat Milan. They beat Empoli. They drew with Atalanta. They had the draw with Spezia. From a results standpoint, you can probably look at them and say, yeah, they're surprisingly inconsistent. They can beat Milan and draw Atalanta, but then they can't beat Spezia. They drew Sassuolo.
It's like Milan.
Yeah, you've got to draw with Sassuolo in there. I don't think Udinese has fallen off or tapered off. I think teams have just flown right past them with their form. And Fiorentina, Bologna, chief among them. Juventus, obviously. And I think that, I think Udinese still, for what they are, the squad that they have, I still think they're overachieving. And I think Sotil's been very good, and I think Udinese's been very good.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to miss, a guy like Deulofeu, what he can bring to the team, because he was certainly the linchpin for the attack. But they still have quality players in the attack as well, and Beto is still getting goals, maybe not the same rate that he had before, and maybe Udoji's not playing quite as well. Everyone's just a little off, but it's still a very good team, honestly. And Bologna is just in the best form of the best of the rest, right? And yeah, they're challenging.
Fiorentina is.
Yeah, they're pretty close. They're pretty even. I would say those are two of the best for sure. Bologna and Fiorentina. They're right neck and neck, and they're tied in points at the moment. So,
Yeah.
Both managers have found a way to get their teams performing, especially Fiorentina, to your point, both in Europe and in the league. So yeah, it's and in Coppa Italia for Vincenzo Italiano. So yeah, it's interesting times here for those two clubs, and they're good for them. Good for them, because it's good to see both those teams have massively underachieved with all the talent that they've had for years now, and now they're starting to get some mojo together. It'd be nice to see at least Fiorentina a European spot. But Bologna, that'll be also a fantastic story if they found a way to get in there after massively underachieving for so long.
5 losses in a row for Lecce and 5 straight games where they haven't scored.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Are they on vacation mode? They better not be.
What's saving them is that for the crap that they've put up over the last 5 games, Verona, Sampdoria can't seem to catch them.
Yeah.
Cremonese we can be nice about because they're mathematically still fighting for this.
Yeah.
Same with Spezia. Spezia can count their blessings that Verona and the team in the bottom 3 aren't capitalizing on them dropping points. Which is, I think at some point you've got to look at this and start finding some ways to win to get some comfort. Empoli is now on 31. They're 12 points clear of the drop with that win over Lecce. That was huge for them. Creates a little bit of discomfort and worry for Lecce. But they and Empoli snaps a losing streak too in the process. So, but coming back to Lecce, you're 8 points clear of the drop. Spezia 6 point clear of the drop, but still enough that's close enough to be uncomfortable with 10 games left.
Yeah, and speaking of uncomfortable, with 10 games to go, Juventus, still with the 15-point deduction, are only 6 points behind Inter for that 4th spot. Can they do it even without getting the points back over, Inter, Roma, Atalanta, even Milan? I mean, Milan is in 3rd place and they're only 7 points behind them.
Right.
You can't. It's hard to go against Juventus with how they've been playing, with how many games are remaining, and you still have that looming in the background. Will they get the 15 points back or not? Who knows? With the whole racist stuff going on today, the Coppa Italia, maybe they get more. Who knows what's going on there? But the way this team is playing, it's not out of the question. I wouldn't. We always say this year after year with Juventus and even with Allegri, you don't count them out. You can't. And with 10 games to go, only 6 points out of Champions League spot. That's a possibility, and that'll be a damning notion. We said this last week, I think. It'll be a damning notion for the rest of the league if they make it to the top 4 with that 15-point deduction. Yeah, that's not a good thing for Serie A. It's good for Juventus for sure.
Sure,
but the rest of the league, it just doesn't look bad. Everyone's cannibalizing themselves basically outside of Napoli and Juventus.
Definitely. Oh my. Erdinger Weibier Dunkel.
Okay.
Is what he's having. German beer.
Thank you, LK. Have a good night.
German beer, and if I remember, Dunkels are Dunkels a little like they're I wouldn't. I mean, by beer standards, they're sweet.
I don't.
A little bit. I like they're amber. They're a little almost a dark amber. George, am I right here or am I off? So, anyway, I hope you're enjoying it, George. That's a
most important part.
Yeah, that's a good find there, and that's a good. I think I'm sure it's good. I haven't had it before, but anyway, anything else with the table?
No. I think we've hit pretty much everything. I mean, a lot of teams. I think some teams like Monza are maybe on vacation mode at the moment. Empoli certainly are not. But yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, it's the top 4. Milan are not back in the top 4. I think Lazio. They're impressive with that defense. They may keep that 2nd spot, but no, I got nothing else.
Yep. I am right. See, I know my beer.
There you go.
That might be a
there
problem. So, I don't know if Monza would hit the beach though. I think there would just be more bunga bunga parties. because they're on 34 points. They're 15.
Berlusconi does owe them at least 2 bunga bunga parties, if not more. So yeah, they might be doing that already.
So that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's a good point.
Goals of the week.
Goals of the week, yes. Let's see. Okay, honorable mention gonna go to, and I love team goals, but I have mine as an honorable mention. Atalanta's team goal that Lookman scored. I thought that was really well done by them, as well as SMS's free kick, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, a wonderful free kick there. But my top 5 goes as such. Salsicha Dona, yes, Salamaker's number 5, his going through seemingly the whole team, a wonderful move, Ronaldinho type move on Min Jae Kim. To get the goal there. That's number 5. Number 4, Hoyland, fantastic run and finding Boga on the back door. That was a wonderful goal there. Number 3, Leao's first goal and Eldor's eerily similar goals where they come in one-on-one. I get the advantage Leao, obviously, because the beautiful play that led up to it, but both Leao and Eldor with a nice chip over the goalkeepers to get their goals. Number 2, Leao's second goal. That was a wonderful move on Rahmani and then blasting it past Moret. Wonderful goal there. And then, like I said, Stefano Poch with a goal from downtown, high-scoring defender in Europe. I mean, fantastic goal. It looked like
Stefano Poch.
Stefano Poch.
Stefano Poch. You're making him Italian.
Making him Italian.
Mr. Ranić would like to have a word with you, I think.
It's Stefan. Stefano. Okay, it's Stefano. You're playing in Serie A, it's Stefano.
I gotta say, I think I've referenced Ranić a couple times now. He's
back
got
to Milan.
What's that? No, but he's got Austria national team. He's got Austria looking pretty good.
Yep.
So I've got the Milinkovic-Savic free kick at 5, Salamakers at 4, Boga at 3, the Posh goal at 2, and Leo's first goal.
Okay.
Number 1 goal of the week for me.
Okay.
So, with his second goal as honorable mention.
Yep.
So I think just the entire move, the Brahim getting around Rui and the pass and everything that went with it, edges out Posh. And I'm a Milan fan, and whenever Milan scores a goal like that, I'm going to put it top. And we're watching was watching it with my son, and my son said that has to be goal of the week, Dad. So it's all right. I'll make it goal of the week.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that's that. But quick one on the Coppa Italia, 1-1 today between Inter and Juventus. Juve took the lead. It was through Quadrado, wasn't it?
As well as 83rd minute.
Okay, let's take a look here. So they score in the 83rd minute. This game, if you didn't turn it on until the 83rd minute, I don't think you really missed anything. So, but Quadrado scores in the 83rd, puts Juve up 1-0. There's a penalty late in the game here. And
Bremer handball, yeah.
Yeah, Bremer handball. Lukaku takes the penalty, scores, and then gestures. Was it to the crowd? Or was it at the goalkeeper? I'm still trying to. Yeah,
at the crowd. So the crowd was chanting monkey chants at him prior to the goal.
Okay.
So he did kind of like what Moise Kean did, a couple years ago against Cagliari, and reacted after he scored. And yeah, set off fireworks with him, with the team, with Quadrado. I mean, there's a whole mess of things going on there.
So yeah. Lukaku gets sent off for his antics.
Yeah,
which I think, I'm sorry, they were justified. If he's going to get taunted, if you're going to get taunted like that by the opposing crowd, that's justified. Quadrado decides to get into a fight with him, and then gets a yellow for arguing, and then gets a red for. It says violent conduct here. I'm still trying to trace back to what he punched
Handanovic. I don't know if that was why he got a red, but he kept going after Lukaku in the skirmish.
And he punched Handanovic, and then Handanovic gets a straight red for arguing.
Yeah. I
mean, I'm just going to sit here and say, okay, so
Inter got Juve.
Should have got a red in any of this was Quadrado for the punch.
Yes.
Okay. I was ready to not talk about this game today because of how dull it was until the last like 15 minutes of it. Like the 10-ish 11 minutes of that went up to the penalty, and then the incident afterward.
Yeah, and and I understand, Lukaku got his second yellow in the game, and that's why he got the red. But if there's no looking at the precedents here, Moise Kean was in a similar situation against Cagliari in 2019, where he's getting verbally abused, racially abused by the fans. He scores a goal and basically stands up to them. Lukaku does the same thing. Moise Kean did not get a yellow in that situation. Lukaku does. There was no really. The only difference was Moise Kean was like, what? And Lukaku, does this. I mean, that's all. He's cursing at them, whatever. But is it worth a yellow? No. And I think immediately what we saw is when he did that, the Juventus players that were there, Danilo and Cuadrado, they tried to like get in the way and try to stop that, and then the whole thing broke loose. Absolutely, Cuadrado should deserve a red card. He should have been gone. I mean, he took a punch. I think he gets a yellow for missing a game. I don't know if he may have got the red after all, but he misses a game no matter what for accumulation of yellows in the next game. But you cannot punch a player like he did for Handanovic. He needs to be gone for the rest of the season. I don't care. Coppa Italia, Serie A, he needs to be gone. That's ridiculous. And then Lukaku, he's defending himself. I mean, he should have done what he did, right? Fuck, he should have flicked his finger off or whatever. But he should not. He was the scapegoat in this. He should not have gotten a yellow card in this. He was going after with Cuadrado after. And if it was after the fact, you said it was because of him and Cuadrado. Yeah, that's one thing. But it wasn't. He got the yellow for what he did. The salute to the crowd. And that's what pisses me off about the whole thing. And then, like I said, Handanovic gets one for talking back to the ref for telling the ref he got punched in the face by Cuadrado, and all kinds of shit going on there. So I don't know.
I've never seen a player get a yellow, even if this was the second yellow, for gesturing toward the crowd.
Yeah. Well, if he took his shirt off, I understand that, but he didn't. Yeah.
I can't remember that. I can't remember it. I mean, okay, so if the FIGC, the people who run the Coppa Italia, whoever, if they have any courage, if they have any balls, they reverse the decision. They reverse on Lukaku, make him eligible to play. And I think they reverse Handanovic unless somebody shows me something with Handanovic that justifies his red card, because I didn't see it. Yeah. But Cuadrado, absolutely out for the second leg. And I think that this all is suspensions for the second leg. You and I were talking about this pre-show.
Yeah.
I don't think red cards from Coppa Italia carry the suspensions are served in Serie A. I think they...
Correct. But I think this Cuadrado one should. I think he should They should change it to a red card, and it's a egregious offense like punching another player. You should be gone.
Well, he got a red. He got a red.
Right, but I mean, he should be gone for the rest of the season in Serie A too. I mean, he should be gone.
Yeah.
Who cares if it's a big games for Juventus. Like, you don't do that as a player. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
It's ridiculous. And speaking of arguments, did you see Spalletti arguing with Maldini and Leao in the hallway after the game?
Yeah, what was that about? I think it was at halftime.
Yeah, so I guess Spalletti was upset about Leao celebrating the goal too much, and asking, what the hell are you doing? And then Maldini was defending him, and then Leao was like, hey, forget it, let's get out of here or whatever. I saw some of this transcript, but that was the basic gist of it, and I'm like, come on, Spalletti, like, be a good loser.
And then Leao scores again, and then he does the gritty.
Yes, so. Yeah, which is better. He went out of his way to run all the other side of the pitch and then go celebrate. So
nice. Oh man! So that was our coverage on Coppa Italia. Tomorrow, Cremonese and Fiorentina play the first leg of the Coppa Italia. Anthony said he heard about Lobotka's yellow card. It could be that too. So, let's just make this simple. Fiorentina will beat Cremonese 2-0 tomorrow. I got nothing beyond that. I don't think we need to get to an in-depth preview. It's been a nice run from Cremonese. It's been a great story, but I think it ends, Fiorentina will go take a 2-0 lead back to the Artemio Franchi for the second leg. Your thoughts? You're on mute.
Basta.
Okay.
That's all I said.
Oh, is that what you said? Okay, gotcha. I was just wondering what was going on over there.
I don't know. Halftime.
So, anyway, we shall move on. So, Italy. Let's talk about them briefly. It's really old news, but they did have the loss to England. They recovered and beat Malta. are we talked about this going in with Italy. The continued dependence on the players that Mancini trusts instead of going to some of the players that are in form. And Jorginho got completely overrun by England.
Yep.
And it cost Italy dearly. Now, they rallied, to their credit. Gnonto came on, made an impression. Retegui scoring in both games shows that there's some depth here at the striker position. But nonetheless, it's what we have here. It's a defeat to England, so now they're kind of on the back foot now in terms of qualification. They recovered nicely to beat Malta, but now they're in a position where having to win in England becomes a thing. You still got Ukraine in the group, which could be a test and could be pushy. But your assessment of what you saw with the Azzurri over the couple of games?
Pathetic. I don't rate or care about the games against Malta and whatnot. What mattered to me is how they performed against England. They were completely outclassed by England. It wasn't even that great of a lineup for England, and they were outclassed by them. Yeah, they made a good performance in the second half, a better performance in the second half. But like you said, relying on vets that just can't get the job done anymore. Didn't seem like anybody had any drive in the game. You would think the game was played in England. No, it was played in Italy, central Italy, and it did not look like it. England was doing what they wanted to. 2-0 game. It probably could have been higher scoring game there. And it was a pathetic performance. And then, like I said, the one bright spot of this whole international break was Retegui, whatever his name is.
Retegui,
excuse me. His goal and his performances, getting goals in there, it was good to see. It's a breath of fresh air.
I thought he was pretty solid.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's good to see him there. Do I think he is the next big striker to come to Serie A or Italian striker? No, I mean, it's a small sample size. I think he had maybe 6 league goals coming into this, so it's not like he was lighting the world on fire prior to this, right? He just a player who fits the system perfectly, and I think that's what Mancini has. And at the moment, has it better than what they had. Right, Ciro Immobile, Belotti, whoever you want to put in there. Scamacca really wasn't informed, so why not take a chance with nobody else, doing the job? And he got some goals, so good for him. So that was a lone bright spot for me, I think, and Gnonto as well. But yeah, for the most part, I think relying on Donnarumma still. I think we talked about Meret should have got the start in this, and I still agree about that. And defenders not getting, we saw Toloi getting in there, and it just. Like you said, relying on something that doesn't work anymore because they won you a Euros doesn't mean you have to trust them. It's play the best players, and Mancini did not do that.
This is what got Lippi in so much trouble.
Yes.
After winning the World Cup in 2006, he went into 2010 with just about with a lot of the same guys, and they got embarrassed in the group and went out after the group stage. Yeah. You've seen this happen where they just. National team managers just continue to trust the same people, and it doesn't work.
Exactly.
So we'll see if he learns from this. I think some of this is recovery of some other players too.
Yeah.
And then as we argued, getting different guys into the squad. Provedel, I think, ended up having to leave, didn't he?
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he made the initial squad, but I don't think he was there. It was just
right.
Meret and Donnarumma and Falcone. Right. It's about form. It is about form, and unfortunately, Mancini doesn't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's about form to an extent, but I mean, here's the other thing, and this is what's so tricky about assembling national teams. Yeah. You have to put together, you're not necessarily putting together the 23 best players or the 23 most informed players. You're putting together the 23 players that you think fit your system the best that you want to implement. Okay. Yeah. That leaves some good players out. And we've seen that happen so much. I mean, the most glaring example, 2018, France didn't take Benzema out of the World Cup and they won it.
Yeah.
So, so that's just it. And I'm with George. I think they'll be okay too. It's to hear the ball from Kane's penalty kick from the World Cup is still in outer space. Yeah, it is. So
right there up with Zaza.
Yep. It's probably caught up to Zaza by now. So I think there was a little more velocity on Kane's.
Yeah.
Zaza's was like straight up and floating, just nasty. So, all right. Anything with the Champions League, Europa League, conference? That's all next week. We talked Milan Napoli. We think that game's going to be 10. I'm going to go score draw at the San Siro with Milan Napoli. I didn't see enough here Saturday where I think Milan are going to win the first leg in San Siro and suddenly own Napoli. Well, I shouldn't say that. They won 4-0. But I think the presence of Osimhen, if he's available, changes things. So I'll go with a score draw there and have it all to play for at the Maradona. I do think, though, that Benfica beat Inter. Because while I want to believe that Inzaghi will conjure up some European magic as he's been doing over the last few years between Lazio and Inter, what this Inter team is showing me right now from a form standpoint, I just can't believe that they're going to go back to Portugal again and get something out of it and bring something back to the San Siro that they can work with. I think a deficit's coming back to the San Siro in that tie. Yeah. I'm going with Benfica to win, and I'm going with them to win 2-0. I hope I'm wrong.
Wow.
But I can't see it.
Yeah. I'm with you on the draw with Milan, Napoli. I think either 0-0 or a score draw. I don't expect Milan to come out blazing again like they did at the Maradona. I think it's gonna be tight 2 legs with those teams. Yeah, I mean, if this Benfica Inter game was 2 weeks from now, I might feel differently because there's still a chance you can get into some kind of form. But based on current form, worst case scenario they can afford is go down 1-0 at Benfica.
Mm-hmm.
Best case obviously is a win or a score draw. Can they do it? Yeah, sure. But I'm gonna play the slight optimist and say they only lose 1-0 at Benfica and take that small negative deficit back to San Siro. But man, I don't know. Based on current form of both teams, it's hard to pick Inter over Benfica at the moment. It really is.
If you're an Inter supporter and you go to Benfica and lose 1-0, you take that and you get the hell out of there with it and run with it like crazy.
Yeah,
because that's going to be that's your best. I mean, that obviously for obvious reasons, that's something you can overturn at the San Siro, a 1 goal. But if this gets to 2-0, like I think it's going to be really hard for Inter to reverse that in the return leg. So Europa League, Feyenoord, Roma, Juventus, Sporting Lisbon. Let's start with I think this Feyenoord-Roma game is fascinating. Yeah. Mourinho bringing his tactics to a Feyenoord team that's leading the Eredivisie. They've got so many different guys that can score, playmakers, Kokchu through the midfield. The guy's name. Idrisi's up front. I want to say it's Santiago, who's the striker. I mean, there is lots of talent in this Feyenoord team. I think though the way it's Mourinho, and it's Europe, and it's a cup tie. I'm going with the wily veteran being able to put something together to scratch out a 1-1 draw there. Juve, Sporting Lisbon. This is a fascinating game.
Fuck yeah.
This is a fascinating game. Sporting Lisbon are really good. And Milan are among the lucky that they didn't qualify through the group stage of the Champions League because Milan, they were in Tottenham's group.
Yep.
You've got guys like Marcus Edwards. You've got guys like Pedro Gonçalves, Sebastian Cortez is a decent defender who I think can nullify Dusan Vlahovic so that Juve are going to have to find goals from other positions. Now, all of that being said, and this is a Sporting team that knocked out Arsenal in the Europa League. All that said, Juve are taking this Europa League seriously.
As they should.
And I think they take a lead back to Lisbon. I think Sporting are going to score here. I'm going to go 2-1 Juve. So I got 1-1 for Roma Feyenoord. I got 2-1 for Juve Sporting.
Imagine an Allegri Mourinho final. Oh my goodness.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. The
No one would
antics.
watch.
I'd watch just to see Mourinho.
I would watch it too, but I mean, just like neutrals would look at this
It'd
and
be
say
0-0, the penalty kicks. But yeah, you know what? I think I slightly with these games, I feel a little bit differently than last time in the sense that I feel more confident with the Serie A teams than I did previously. Not that I didn't feel good about them. I just think I agree with you. I think Mourinho in a cup game, the way his tactics set up, it just lines up perfectly for him. He's already won with Roma in Europe. Last year, let's not forget, in Conference League. Why couldn't they win this? Why couldn't they win this year in Europa League? It's hard not to back a Mourinho team in a cup. And I think they barely get by Feyenoord, but I think they get by Feyenoord. I really do. I think they're disciplined enough defensively where they can stifle Feyenoord, and then they have some of the attacking pieces up front, including led by their talisman Dybala, that can get the job done and score some goals. So yeah, I say they probably win the two legs, maybe like a 2-1 or something crazy like that, or maybe 3-1. I just, it's hard to go against Mourinho. And then on the other side, Allegri against Sporting. You're right. I think Sporting they are a fantastic team. All Portuguese teams are, but Juventus has been playing really well, both in the league and in Europe, and they are taking this seriously, and they should, because I think anything other than like a finals appearance or even a victory is going to be almost a laughingstock for them, right? Especially how good they've been in Serie A. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating tactical series or two legs to watch between these two teams, because what Allegri's going to bring. And how are Sporting going to unlock that? Are they capable? Yes, they are. But I think Juventus have just too much in terms of discipline and know-how under Allegri to get the job done just ever so slightly. So yeah, I think 2 narrow victories for the Serie A clubs in this quarterfinals here. So let's go.
Sure. I like it. And then I think that Fiorentina go to Lech Poznan, and I'm going to go 2-1 there. Okay. Ugarte suspended for Sporting Lisbon. Field day for Angel Di Maria then if he plays. Yeah. If Allegri starts him, that's my thought.
Fiorentina
Sevilla new coach, and out of the relegation zone. Thoughts on them against Man U, Frank? This is Serie A. Sit down, Michael. We don't talk about
who's their new coach
between Sevilla and Manchester United unless they were playing Serie A teams.
Never discount Sevilla. Let's say that. But yeah, I think with at least in the Europa League or your Conference League, Fiorentina going to Lech Poznan, that's going to be the difficult game. Come out at least with a score draw, at minimum. And I think
I'm going 2-1 Fiorentina. I think they'll win. The form they're in is really good. But
let's bang the drum. So yeah, let's go.
Yep, bang the drum for me. We're banging the drum for everybody but Inter at this point. So
sorry.
So let's do it. Yeah. So, and that's not because just look at their form. That's all you can say. So
it's form.
All right, so that's the European roundup. We now move on to the world's most popular hashtag game. Who won Calcio Twitter? Take it away, Richard.
All righty, with Benny Hill queuing us up. First starts off with Anthony, resident Who won Calcio Twitter nominee, or is that a word? I don't know. But it is now. It is now. That's what Said kicks it off with. Simone Inzaghi has led Inter to a 0-match unbeaten run in all competitions. Inter pay $25,000 for every match he manages due to him having a UEFA Pro license. At 46, he's the second average manager in Serie A.
I like the effort and the creativity that was put behind that tweet.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
At Thogden, is Mesut Ozil the greatest playmaker we have ever seen in football?
It's got to be a joke, right? Like, really? Like, I like Mesut Ozil, but
was this on April? No, this wasn't even on April 1st. It was on.
Yeah, it was a week before April 1st. Yeah, I don't know what he's smoking. Mesut Ozil is a fantastic player, and I'm sure Bob, if he's listening, he loves Mesut Ozil. As do I, but I do not think he is the greatest player, nor is he in the top 20 of all time. So,
I can easily come up with 20 50 guys better than him.
Yeah, so
maybe even 50.
Yeah,
maybe even 100.
Yeah.
So, What do we got
Moving
here?
on. Napoli Sansone, the evolution of Juventus FC in pictures. Obviously, Platini, Zidane, Chiellini, Fagioli. That's good.
Oh, okay.
Good.
I think that's the leader in the clubhouse right now,
Yeah,
but let's see what else we can do. Let's see. And BR Ferrante.
Drag my feet along the floor. Then I see you. You're walking across the campus.
Insigne looking like Guardiola with no hair.
Oh, okay. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Creative. Okay.
Creative.
Took me a second to catch that.
Moving on, Nima. So Nima, everyone knows Chat GPT is the new thing. Everyone's using the AI, whatever. So he says, write me a tweet in the style of Carlo Garganese. And it says, sure. And it's the tweet that says, absolutely outrageous decision by the referee, blah, blah, blah. Read the whole tweet. It sounds like Carlo Garganese would say that. It's like spot on. So Nima's having a laugh at Carlo on this. And you look, even Carlo even says, very accurate. That's what I would say. So, that's awesome. So
yeah. Carlo attests to that.
Yes.
Yeah, we like that. Okay, let's move on to at Joe_Cappuccino. Let Mancini cook the cooking. Completely blackened pizza.
It was good in 2020, but not so much now.
But hey, wait, that's like pizza etouffee. Anthony, isn't Anthony from the New Orleans area?
I think so.
It should be
somewhere
classic
down there
fare for them, shouldn't it? I mean,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Apex is in the chat, nominated to us to this one. So the original tweet was from at Milanista203. Said him. Oh wait. So it says Milan 25 games this season, 5 goals, 2 assists. Is Lorenzo Colombo the next player ready for AC Milan? He says him, Pobega, Bresciani should be sold. I think should be sold, but could raise 30 to 40 million for their sales. Martino says breaking. FIGC has taken 15 points from Milan from this tweet. Like, you're not going to get 30, 40 million for those players. Like, come on, like it'd be nice, but no, we're not Juventus.
That was if there's ever a drunk tweet.
Yeah,
this one from that Milanista 203, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. At Football Italia, Italy international Nicolo Zaniolo has a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract with Galatasaray, who will pay the first installment of the striker's transfer fee to Roma in November.
Ballon d'Or clause, huh? Interesting. Yeah, said no one.
Okay.
I believe when I see it. I believe in Nicolo.
Don't think that clause is ever going to get activated.
No. Original tweet was from Madrid Extra. It says, since last year, Real Madrid have drew up a list of possible reinforcements for the right back position. Reece James, João Cancelo, Juan Foyth, and Davide Calabria. And so Omar at Alessio Tackle says, as an honest Real Madrid fan, I think we should go for Calabria ASAP. It'll only cost us 50 million, and that's nothing for Mr. Perez. The Milanista trying to get rid of his player there. So he had a good performance against the Napoli.
Someone comes calling offering 50 million for Calabria. That's
yes.
like, where do I sign?
Exactly. Hell yes.
Napoleonismo is back. I'll see him at home watching Kvara Crossing.
I don't know. I find this so funny, but
that's great.
I can see it.
He is a master at his craft, isn't he?
Yes, he is. All right. Original tweet was from at JFamily3502, and it says, breaking, Graham Potter has been sacked by Chelsea. So Feyenoord fan says, the J Twitter expert in question, it's AJ Alfine, sack Allegri and bring in Graham Potter. All right.
Oh, mercy.
Oh, my gosh.
Napoleonismo's leader in the clubhouse for me, by the way.
Yes, he is for me, too.
All right. Our friend Anthony at Interworldwide at Anth Privatera. We got to get him back on.
Yes, we do.
Good okay, so he's going, LOL, get fucked to Kevin Lasagna's style of play. A tall and quick left-footed forward. Lasagna's natural role is that of a main striker in the center. Lasagna has many layers to his game.
Oh, Wikipedia. I hope that's still up there. That's awesome.
You don't even need to read past that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Then we get
you get to explain this one since you nominated it.
I will. So the original. Oh God, I forgot about it.
Dear God.
Saturnion and Virtualize, I apologize. Saturnion says Juventus fans flexing Milan's win versus Napoli yesterday. He'll get off the screen. That's funny. And then Don Tico chimed back with that Milan and Juventus fan says, "You're the best." No, you are. They make God. But graphic here for the Saturnion and Don Tico tweets there. Oh my goodness.
Good Lord.
You get this one though, because I know you've seen this movie like me. So.
Oh yes, this movie's great. At @V_Strandberg 9. Conte meeting Correa and Dumfries at Inter next year.
Until you fucking die. I'll beat to you until your asshole for sucking buttermilk. Was it you scroungy little fuck? Sir, no sir, you little piece of shit. You look like a fucking worm.
I can see Conte doing this, you know?
No sir, I said it, sir.
This is totally Conte.
Not this play. This is classic.
Oh, shit. What have we got here? A fucking comedian, private joker. I admire your honesty. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. You little scumbag. I got your name. I got your ass. You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up. Get on your feet. You had best unfuck yourself or I will unscrew your head and check down your neck. Yes, sir. Private Joker, what did you do in my blood coat? Sir, to kill, sir. So you're a killer. Sir, yes, sir. Let me see your war face. Sir, you got a war face? That's a war face. Now let me see your war face. Bullshit. You didn't convince me. Let me see your real war face.
This is Correa or Dumfries?
Work on. Sir, yes, sir. What's your excuse? Sir, excuse for what, sir? I'm asking the fucking questions here, Private. You understand? Thank you very much. Can I be in charge for what? Sir, yes, sir. Are you shook up? Are you nervous?
I'm going to go watch this movie.
I know, me too. I haven't seen this in a long time.
Sir, what? Are you
Full Metal Jacket, for anyone who doesn't know. We've got a lot of young generation people that listen to our podcast that need to 5'9" I didn't know they stack shit that high.
Sir, no, sir. Bullshit. It looks to me like the best part of you ran down to crack your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress.
I think you've been cheated.
Oh, what a fucking movie. That's a great movie there.
What a movie.
All right. Saturnion with a better, more appropriate tweet with this one. And it's, thank you for the deep fried Instagram pics, Origi, but it's time to get out. And it's packing him into a suitcase and getting in the fuck out.
This is a fucking joke.
I think this is a joke. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Anyway.
All right. That's up there, too. Okay, and then finally at V_Strandberg 9, Lukaku versus Cuadrado in the player tunnel after the match.
Throws him in the tunnel.
He throws him in the washer.
In the washer, I mean. Oh my God, that's some good ones this week. Some funny ones. Oh my God,
that is great.
Oh
man, alive. Okay, Who Won Calcio Twitter came through great.
Yeah, Apex is like I loving it.
We got to pick the winner.
Oh,
what do you think?
I mean, Napoli and Eastville was fantastic. I mean, it's hard. We both love Full Metal Jacket. It's hard not to pick that one, but it's between that and Napoli and Eastville, I guess, for me. It's creative.
I gotta pay homage to Full Metal Jacket, man. I think we got to give it to V_Strandberg 9. So
fair enough. We watched most of the clips, so why not?
Yep.
Victor
right.
C.
Yep. All right. Well, congratulations, Victor C. You are the winner of Who Won Calcio Twitter this week.
Oh my goodness.
Richard, speak to the people while I send this tweet out.
I apologize first for the Saturnion tweet from earlier that I had to show, but it had to be shown. It was funny. It was Juventus fans riding Milan cock after their beatdown of Napoli. But anyway, I digress. Shout out to again everyone in the chat for bringing it again this week. Dominic loving the Pepe Insigne and the Origi packing. It's a lot of good ones this week with the tweets. So I really got nothing. I'm just rambling on at this point. So if you can follow me at R_KHARMAN and go watch Full Metal Jacket, please
Yeah, definitely go check out Full Metal Jacket. You can find me at FTC_21. And with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down, where we have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. There is Serie A Sit Down. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter, Instagram. Check us out there. Drop us a note. Send your Who Won Calcio Twitter nominees to our Twitter handle there. And make sure it's hashtag Who Won Calcio Twitter. Try to keep it clean. Richard.
Sorry.
But definitely don't be offensive. Don't be a dick to other fan bases or anything like that. You can there's poking fun and a little bit of banter, and then there's just completely offending people. Let's try not to do that. Also on Facebook, but we're not on there very often. So you're better off trying us at Twitter or Instagram. So
And YouTube.
Here on our YouTube channel. I forgot to mention that. If this is the first time you watched us, please, and you enjoyed it, please drop a like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you are alerted next time we go live on the air. And then our website, SerieASitdown.com, that I keep saying I'm going to put content up, and then life gets away from me and I don't have a chance to sit down and put something together. So, but we will soon. So, other than that, I think we're good. Next Tuesday, same time?
Same time, same place.
Let's do it. So, and we will be, we will have a recap of Benfica Inter first leg by next Tuesday night. Kind of get a feel for how that's going. If we can take a dive, I think everybody plays on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, as they're off. They usually are off on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
We actually have 7 games on Saturday the 8th. We have Lazio and Juventus on Saturday, big one there. So that's got to tell me that there's 3 games on Friday. Yes, there is. Salernitana Inter, Lecce Napoli, and Milan Empoli take place on Friday the 7th. And then we have 7 games on April 8th, highlighted by Lazio and Juventus.
Yeah,
and Serie A never plays over Easter. Atalanta Bologna, that's an intriguing one too.
Ooh.
So check that out if you have time. So, but that'll do it. We will see you all next Tuesday night. In the meantime, if you do celebrate it, and if you do observe it, have a great Holy Week and have a great Easter. And we will see you next Tuesday. For Richard, I'm Frank. As always, tell your paisans about us. Ciao.